that's making you money while you sleep. And that's how you get wealthy. You don't get wealthy working at a job. You get wealthy, in my opinion, by owning cash flowing assets. And real estate is a cash flowing asset. It every month, by definition, has rental income coming in. And as long as that exceeds the cost of your debt, exceeds the cost of maintaining the property, you will have profit and you will have money making real estate at your disposal. Welcome back to the Make More with Matt podcast. Glad you could be with us today. I want to talk to you about real estate. We've talked about it before, but I want to talk about it in terms of how does real estate make you money. You know, we've talked about how you can make money in real estate, but how does real estate functionally make you money? And the real paradigm that you've got to understand is that real estate is an asset class that makes you money through rental income. So think of it this way. If you buy a house and your mortgage is $2,000 a month, but you can lease it out for $4,000 a month, and you pay your mortgage, and you pay your taxes, and you pay your insurance, and anything that needs to be maintained, and you have $1,000 left over. That's making you money while you sleep. And that's how you get wealthy. You don't get wealthy working at a job. You get wealthy, in my opinion, by owning cash flowing assets. And real estate is a cash flowing asset. It every month, by definition, has rental income coming in. And as long as that exceeds the cost of your debt, and exceeds the cost of maintaining the property, you will have profit and you will have money making real estate at your disposal. It's important to understand, how you get there. We had Ron Jones on. He talked a little bit about it. Cuberto Hernandez talked a little bit about it. But I want to share with you the notion that it's important to find somebody that can help you with the down payment, because that's the critical component. Everybody struggles with real estate at the first piece of real estate typically because they don't have the down payment maybe. And that's something that you can borrow from friends and family. It's money that you've saved up. You can combine that, put that to work. Put that to work as soon as you can. Don't wait till you're married. Don't wait till someone passes on. Get into real estate as quickly as you can and start buying homes. I told you the story about Steve, my former IT guy who started with one house. Now he has 60 houses. And 60 houses is giving him $60,000 a month profit, $1,000 profit per house. So it may seem small, but look at him. He's at $720,000 a year in free cash flow while he sleeps income. That's how real estate makes you money. It's just, you just start small and you start one at a time, and pretty soon you have a little portfolio, and pretty soon you got a bigger portfolio, and you make a lot of money. And real estate is an asset that has got to be in your portfolio. You've got to get it. You got to get it soon. And again, that is a great hedge against inflation, because you can take the rents up every year as the inflationary pressures mount in the market. So as inflation rises 3%, you raise your rents 3% or 4%. And there does become a competitive pressure situation where at some point you can't keep raising the rents. So it works for a long time, and then it's probably an asset you could sell and cash flow, make a big chunk of money on at the back end. So you make money through rents, and then those rents inflate the value of the real estate. You sell the real estate in 5-10 years and make $500,000, whatever it is. It's important to understand. So real estate makes you money both through cash flow, as long as it exceeds your expenses, and it makes you money when you sell it. That's a big part of it, because you're basing your purchase on the fact that you can sell it for more 5 to 10 years from now. That's an important thing. So let me give you some practical advice for getting started, because all this is great, but if you can't get a start, it's hard to move forward. The first thing I would tell you to do is focus on an area that you know really well. It could be your own neighborhood. It could be a special neighborhood down the street, whatever. Become an expert in that area. You can use Zillow, you can use Redfin, and track the sales of the properties in the area. Find out what the price level is of the average house or the median house. And as you find that, um, you become an expert at that, you can start talking to brokers. Find the brokers on Zillow or Redfin or Coldwell Banker or whatever. Find a broker who specializes in the area you're specializing in. That's a great way to get additional knowledge and wisdom, and also to find the properties that are up for sale, or better yet, coming up for sale but haven't hit the market yet. That's a great way to start. And then once you find that property, he'll help you put an offer together. And then you put an offer together, a purchase and sale agreement, and you send that to the seller's broker, and he presents it to the seller, and the seller either accepts your offer or counters your offer, and you start that process. And even if you don't get that first house, that process of negotiating, that process of researching and understanding are valuable lessons for going forward. The next thing I would do is find a financial partner if you need one. It could be mom and dad, it could be, friends and family, and you may need to share the profit with them, which is fine as long as you get started. Maybe you have to split 50-50 on the $1,000 a month profit. You're still making $500 a month you didn't have before. So, and they gave you the money to get started. So that's another thing that I think is really important, is becoming an expert in the market, finding a broker who's going to help you find the properties, get involved in the process of writing offers and getting the negotiating process down. And then, of course, finding a partner who can help you financially kick off your first deal. Those are the steps I would take. So hopefully by now you own your own first property, or you're on your way, and you get the vibe and the energy and the feelings and the knowledge that you need to at least get started. So you buy your first property. Now the question becomes, how do I lease the property out? You hire a broker, and that broker will put on the multiple listing service, which is an industry-wide vehicle for advertising and marketing properties. And that property will then go on the market, and it'll be viewed against competing properties by potential tenants. And as the tenants are scrutinizing which property they want, you've got to be scrutinizing the tenants you want. Because what you don't want to have is a tenant who tears the place apart, has multiple pets, crapping on the rugs, doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, you got to be careful. The tenants that you pick are tenants that you should want in there for 3 to 5 years. And you know what? As you take the rents up, there may become a point in time where you say, you know what, it's getting too expensive for my tenant, but I don't want to lose this tenant because she or he pays their bills on time. They're always there with the money on the first of the month. And you know what, I don't want to lose 2 or 3 months of income looking for a new tenant for $100 lift in rent when I'm getting $2,000 a month in rent. I mean, so you're going to lose $6,000 to chase a $1,200 increment in rent? That makes no sense. So you want to be very thoughtful about that. If you lose a tenant who's a good tenant, I'll tell you, sometimes and many times and most times, it makes sense to not lose that tenant and give them a little bit of rent relief rather than going out and searching for the extra $100, because you may never get it anyway. And it may take several months of lost revenue at $2,000 a month. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. One of the other things to think about and contemplate is long-term tenancy versus short-term tenancy. Do you buy this rental property and put somebody in there on an annual contract for a year, or do you go Airbnb? I'm not sure which model really pans out to be more profitable. I think it depends on the property, it depends on the location, depends on the tenant you have in hand. So I think all those things, but I'm not clear necessarily that one is better than the other. I think it's really functionally driven by how much rent you're getting on a monthly basis versus how much you'll get from an Airbnb on a month basis. And probably most Airbnbs aren't rented for a month. So, I'm not sure necessarily that the Airbnb model doesn't work well and that this works better. I think it's really property dependent and tenant dependent. I think it really matters. Those are the key factors. One of the things that you're going to have to be mindful of is that likely the down payment that you put down is going to represent a portion of the total purchase price. Call it 20%, 25%. Typically it's about 20%. But you're going to need to borrow money from a bank, which means you're going to have good credit. So make sure your credit is in the excellent category so that you get the best interest rate. Because the lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate is going to be. The higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate is going to be. So you're going to need to borrow from a bank about 75 to 80% of the purchase price. Once you borrow from the bank, to get that loan done, not only requires good credit scores, but it requires a solid balance sheet that the bank can look to and collateralize. They'll collateralize the house as an insurance against repayment of the loan. But they're also going to look at your balance sheet, your credit score, and those are things that you're going to need to keep in mind and plan for. Don't go make a loan application if you're in the 500 or 600 category. Make sure you're in the 700 to 800 category before you start making your loan applications. It's really important. So hopefully you've gained a lot of information today. Hopefully that'll get you started. Reach out to me if you need help. I'm happy to be helpful to you. Happy to give you the knowledge and wisdom that I've got. And I've got enough to help you get across the goal line. So have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.